The following program is sponsored by LBO Academy.
This is the Lifestyle Business Owner Show, where we talk about the street smarts of small business. Your hosts are Aaron and Mayumi Muller, owners of 8 companies that run without them, and founders of the LBO Academy. It's your turn to discover how you can own a business that runs without you. Now, here's Aaron and Mayumi.
Good morning, everyone. This is Aaron Muller with the Lifestyle Business Owner Show, where we talk about the street smarts of small business. If you can't listen to the entire show today, you can always go to our website at lboradio.com. That's lboradio.com, and you can get this segment and any other previous show we've done. Today, our show is going to be about supercharging your website so that you get the best results when you're trying to grow your business. Our guest today is Matt Cail. He's a Seattle native, and he graduated from the University of Washington. Matt began working on online marketing in the late 90s and as a message board and web designer pioneer. In 2007, Matt founded the company Supercharge Marketing, and over the years, he's worked in social media, search engine marketing, web design, and online advertising. He's he talked at the TEDx conferences and often presents at private and public groups. His company, Supercharge Marketing, provides digital marketing services to businesses across the country. Also today, I got my co-host here, Mayumi Muller. She's not only my business partner, but also my partner in life. She's an amazing woman and a true hustler. And if I didn't have her by my side today, I would never have the success I do.
My favorite part of the whole show. Well, thank you, honey. And I got your name wrong earlier. Matt, thank you so much for being on our show this morning. You guys, this is an exciting show. This is it right here, man. Social media, search engine marketing, web design, advertising. This is it. So you know what? We're going to go into the first question. So thank you so much for being on our show this morning. What is the most common mistake that business owners make when they're wanting to build a website or even just start getting a website?
No, thank you very much for having me today. And that's a good question. What we see is there's a lot of focus on design, how a website looks, their logo, brand, writing, all those things. But there's something that's often missed, and that is how do you actually convert somebody who visits your website into somebody who's going to take action on it, actually convert.
Yeah. So how do you do that exactly?
Well, there are certainly some ways not to do it, which a lot of websites have too much going on. So it's very complicated, and you actually have to dig to be able to find what they would ideally like you to do. So you need to make sure that it's upfront, typically early, and that it also stands out. And there are a variety of ways to do that.
Well, give us an example of a way to really have a good call to action on your website, and what does it do?
Yeah, so first off, there's the most regarded as the most annoying way to do it, which are pop-ups. People don't like pop-ups. They're annoying.
I have to agree. I don't really like them
But you know
either.
what? So many people do it. So, why are they doing it? Why are some big name companies doing it if people don't like it so much?
They do it because it works. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Okay, so
they put those
it's a
out there.
double-edged sword then.
Yeah, I mean, you might risk annoying some folks. And we hear that objection. Well, I don't want to annoy or offend anybody.
Right.
Well, if you're going to annoy 1 out of 10 visitors, okay. But what if 4 out of 10 are actually taking action because of that pop-up?
Right.
What's the trade-off?
Yeah, and we do some pop-ups now on our website. We're doing more for my book and everything like that. So I do agree with that. You kind of have to do it, but you're kind of wondering, are we bugging people? But I guess they can always X out of it, right?
They can, and it's a balancing act too. If I have to close pop-ups 3, 5, 7 times scrolling down a web page, I'm going to hit the back button very quickly.
Right, and then just go to the next website.
Exactly. But one, you can probably get away with that. So that's one thing you can do.
Right.
You don't want to get too much, you can get very much into human psychology here. For example, warm colors. We've seen a lot of evidence that if a call to action, say it's a button, and if you have that with cooler colors or with warmer colors, they tend to click on the warmer colors more.
Oh,
wow, that's cool to
so
know.
what would be some examples of warm colors?
Gold. It could also be ruby red, oranges.
Oh, I click on anything orange.
So do those colors change over time, like that become more usable on websites that you're learning this? I mean, is it something that's changing in our world of marketing?
Or has it always been those colors?
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is it really goes back to testing. I'm not expecting a brand which has cool colors. I haven't sent a message into any professional sports teams who happen to have blue and green that they should switch to red and orange. That being said, you should test.
Yeah.
So, for example, one of the things we like to do is keep everything equal. Try it out with a cool color, with a critical call to action. That's month 1. Look at the data. Month number 2, switch that color scheme up. Does the conversion rate change? Are you getting more people?
Is it easy to change colors like that? Like if you hire somebody like you, it's not hard to do. You just tell you, hey, change this up this month, and no problem.
Changing a single button or 4 to 5 call to actions on a website links is not that bad.
Okay.
If you're considering mixing up your whole brand to match it, that would be more work.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. No, that's great. So people ask us too, do we have to offer business owners, do I have to offer an incentive or a carrot for somebody to sign up? Is that necessary to do that?
I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it can definitely help. It's another one. I mean, it is an incentive.
Yeah.
If it's the right type of incentive.
Right.
So, I mean, free giveaway pamphlets, shortened ebooks, and the like. There are tons of those out there.
And people
Yeah.
like those.
They initially did. I think you could say that
they
the
kinda going out
market's
now?
being flooded.
Okay.
It's been too much of a good thing.
Too much information.
So what
but-
are people liking then for incentives?
They like something where the value for them taking action is clear. So, for example, signing up for a newsletter, or get our free book on how to do what we're doing. Oh, that's okay. No, actually, get our free book on how you can actually increase your sales by 500%. Oh, okay. Now the value to me is a lot clearer there. I'm much more likely to give you the benefit of the doubt, partake of your incentive, and sign up.
I see.
Are people liking
see.
videos more than they are like ebooks and things like that? Do you find that as video is becoming more popular?
Yeah, video subscriptions, video webinars, seminars. You can put all those behind, website architecture, so only the people who opt in get access to them.
I love videos.
Yeah, I do too. And so, do you have any examples of a company that does their call to actions really well? So if our listeners want to go take a look at what you're talking about, they can go to like a big name, someone out there that you've seen. Do you have anything like that?
I like to kind of couch it more in types of design to look for.
Okay.
Perfect.
And part of this is because the sites change so quickly. And there are also some small shops who are killing it and some surprisingly large brands who are not.
Yeah.
But rather than out them, what I would say is that, you need to make people not pour through or go through click after click after click to get to what
Yes.
they want.
That is a common
Listen.
mistake, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
because back in the day, that used to be how people built websites, right? I mean, they were all really information based. They were building websites to look like almost like the news sites, right? And then it's kind of gotten simpler as we've gone on because people don't need all of that. Or they can get to it. You want to have that stuff on your website. Am I correct with this? Somewhere on the site, but not in their face, so that they're not going to be wasting their time, just trying to get to the call to action.
You want to be able to have your site where if there's somebody who sees it, they're compelled, they want to take action, a couple of seconds, it's there. If you also have the folks who want to spend minutes to even hours perusing all your site's content, great. That's there too. But you want to be able to serve both, because you can see how the people who are ready to take action then can't find it, get quickly frustrated, and then just leave.
Right. No, I totally agree. That's great. So I know we talked about, yes, that the color does matter. You have the cool colors versus the warm colors. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's one factor.
Okay.
It can be.
And so that can be effective for people. But what do you say if someone says, I don't want to be like obnoxious and repetitive? It's kind of, so how do they avoid that? Like, how many pop-ups should they have or not have? How many different call to action buttons? How many, when is it too much on a website?
Yeah, and the big thing to keep in mind, I think, when people think about being obnoxious or annoying, is that they imagine like having 4 or 5 the same buttons and different pop-ups, all kind of the similar strategy
Yes.
bombarding you.
Yes.
You can get people in a number of ways. You can have it be one of the links in your top navigation, which many sites have. It can be there. It can also be another call to action, like a short text description in your sidebar if you have a field there, or also even down lower past the button.
Yep, I like going down there too.
If you go to the very bottom and actually, if they actually
Yep.
get into that footer, you can have, and sometimes we'll even phrase them, before you leave, make sure to get. Because you're
Yeah.
acknowledging, we've even had some sites that are more playful saying, wow, you're special. You got all the way to the bottom of all that.
That's
Get
great.
your free yada yada here.
Yep.
And people, they kind of feel recognized, and that also might be another access button for them.
And they've actually had a chance to look at the entire website as well.
Yeah.
And possibly clicked on tabs as well. That's great.
There's a lot of businesses out there that they're not really selling a product, so they're not going to want that general call to action where do this, download this, and get that, right? I mean, sometimes you're a business that you want. What's a different type of call to action that some businesses may want to do? Just a phone call or an email or something like that. Like, it's not always about giving something for them to do something, right?
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
There can be a number of actions you might want them to take. And I mean, it could be receiving a message from them for more information. We have a lot of clients where they want that because then at that point they take over and they further the conversation.
Would you still make that a kind of an outward call to action versus just going up to your contact us page? Or
it can be. It may not be the most important one, but it's an example. Some people that we work with, they're like, we just want the contacts. Other people say, no, we don't want messages. We don't want contacts. We want calls. We want phone calls, and because then actually I get somebody on the phone, and then I take over at that point with my voice. Another thing, you also might want to get them to opt into something, an information resource,
So
a
you get their contact
newsletter.
Right.
Then you have their contact, and then over time you can build that relationship. I mean, those are the three most common, outside of course, directly buying something. If you have an e-commerce shop and the like,
Right.
you want them to go to your store and you want them to shop.
Right. Hey, I have a question too. It's kind of with me thinking about what I like lately. I've noticed a lot is if I'm ordering from a site, whether it be a clothing site, like a subscription based type business. They always have like a little pop-up that says, if you have any questions, we have somebody live ready to talk to you right now. And I've actually utilized that feature. I love that. Do people like that?
Yeah, I actually really like that too.
I've
tried to
it.
implement it in some of my companies. It's really hard to do because you got to be at the computer or have somebody there managing it. And then the people that don't, you're frustrated a little bit as a consumer. Like you're like, well, I want instant access, and then we're not here right now. Maybe we'll be back later.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
That can be incredibly valuable. I mean, it really can be because somebody is on your site and they're thinking about, communicating in some way and you're there to catch
Right.
them. I mean, you've already alluded to the human capital challenges. Sometimes somebody will have somebody internally, and whenever they actually log in, essentially through that chat feature on their site, then they go from, we're not here, please leave a message, to we're available and happy to help.
Yes.
So it can account for both. We have some other companies, well, they'll just hire a virtual assistant to be available certain hours of the day.
Oh, cool.
So they'll have
So
that
that
there.
works.
So putting the time is also really good for people if you have the live chat or what have you to put the time that you're going to be there. This is so I can talk more and more, and we're going to in the next segment. Today we're talking to Matt Cail. He's the founder of Supercharge Marketing, a web design and digital marketing company. He's giving us the ins and outs of what makes a good website and how to attract more customers. Follow the Lifestyle Business Owner on Facebook and IG, and you can listen to the Lifestyle Business Owner Show anytime, anywhere on lboradio.com.
We'll be right back with more of the Lifestyle Business Owner Show after this brief break here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL. You're listening to the Lifestyle Business Owner Show with Aaron and Mayumi Muller.
Welcome back to the Lifestyle Business Owner Show, where we talk about the street smarts of small business. Today we're talking with Matt Cail. He is the founder of Supercharge Marketing, a web design and digital marketing company. He's giving us the ins and outs of what makes a good website and how to attract more customers. That's all we want to do as business owners is attract more customers.
And the websites are still important to businesses, right? I mean, they're not like.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people are kind of talking about it's not as important because of the social media that's out there. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, and I don't feel it has to be either or.
Okay.
I mean, it's fine to have a great website and also have a strong social media presence. And ideally, they
Right.
build off of each other.
Yeah.
I will just say that websites can still do things that social media profiles cannot do.
Yeah.
And
I
they
totally
are
agree.
fantastic at representing your brand.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. So some of the questions that we get from our listeners is, someone might say, hey, people will either want my services or not. I shouldn't have to convince them to make it, obvious to them. What do you say about that objection?
Well, whenever I hear that, I always think that their competitors must be very happy with that attitude. Rightly or wrongly in business, and this goes from huge corporations down to the brand new startup, you have to continue to convince people.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to make that argument of, your value.
Yep.
And it's, you may feel you shouldn't have to, but that's business.
Well,
That's
and I think
business. That's
that-
life.
I mean, that kind of goes along with the social media. I mean, it's just repetitive. It's constantly telling people about who you are and what you're doing and information, and that's in social media. So that's how everybody's getting the business these days, right?
And
Yeah,
there's
it's
a
ongoing.
bully way to convince, and there's a good way,
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you're right. I mean, there's always going to be competitors, and there's always going to be other businesses, and so you have to convince people that you are the best. And so by doing that, you have a beautiful website. It's the first thing they look at, right? Social media. You have awesome customer service, right? Those are the things that are really important as business owners.
Exactly. So let's talk on on websites. I'm seeing a lot of websites being built where they have to scroll. They just scroll and they keep scrolling down further and further. It used to just be right there. Now what's going on? How come the web designers have started doing this, and is it working?
Yeah, for a long time, scrolling was vilified. You wanted to make sure that whenever a website came up, that they could essentially do everything you'd want them to do right in the screen that loads. Nowadays, people have revisited that some. They said, okay, some scrolling's okay. We have Google Analytics and other data sources, which indicates we're not hemorrhaging traffic if we have things a little further down. I still like a design that does both approaches, because some people won't want to scroll. And whenever you look at your average site visitor of 2 seconds, well, they couldn't do a lot of scrolling in that time.
Right.
So I like to still have the critical actions at the top of the page, even if it's
Yeah.
one or two of them. And if they scroll for more information to get more convinced, great.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Good information there.
And that kind of goes to, the call to actions, right? I mean, having multiple call to actions might get confusing to somebody. So, I mean, how many do you have versus, just one, or do you have 5, or how does that work exactly? So,
Yeah, what we've seen is some sites will make the mistake of having many calls to actions. I mean, everything from a newsletter to, multiple newsletters. And you have 4 or 5 different options, and then what happens is somebody will see all those, and they get paralyzed.
yep.
Yeah.
And then they leave without doing any action.
That reminds
I
me
do.
when I was a young kid and I went to buy earrings for my sister. And I remember going to this store, and I was only probably like in 4th grade, 5th grade. And I went into this store, and the whole wall was full of earrings. And I sat there paralyzed.
Yeah.
I couldn't make a decision because there was 1,000 pairs of earrings
Yep.
on this wall now. So it's kind of like that same
that same
deal.
mentality,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy.
It's very much like
Yeah.
that. It's like when you have 500 channels and you can't find anything on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Story of our lives.
That is a story of our lives.
So you get around that by what I call the rule of one, which is every business entity and entrepreneur should go through a process where they determine what is the one thing.
Yeah.
If I could get somebody to do one thing on my website, what would
Okay.
that be? And pick one. Boil it down to one. I'm not saying that's the only thing that has to be on your website, but
Yep.
that'll help drive
Yeah.
what your goal
Kinda
actually
like,
is.
when people say
Yeah.
they say most purchased or most what's the word most valuable or
Yeah.
it's like most commonly bought thing, and so it directs you to that one, like the most popular package or
Or
something.
people's choice,
Yeah.
that's the one that everyone
Things
bought.
like that. Like that's important to kind of direct them in that way, right?
Well, and you also have some businesses where they're set up where they don't want to be checking lots of messages through online contacts, but they really
Right.
want phone calls. Or other times where they do not want anybody calling. They want all that to come through.
Right.
So that helps drive what that one thing's going to be for that business.
Okay.
So going back to merging this last question and one from the previous segment, I wanted to talk to you about the phone calls, call to action, and having the phone call. Do people like that? Like if you have a call to action where you might offer 10 minutes with the owner or, top sales rep or what have you, to help you through the process. Do people actually like phone calls anymore? I think you kind of mentioned it, but I haven't ever heard that.
Yes, I would say yes, because we're continuing to shift more into this mobile world. Where it's not only becoming mobile friendly, it's becoming mobile first.
Right.
And so you think about that, you're on your smartphone and it's all integrated right in there. With one click, you can be talking to somebody. Not even
That's great.
necessarily a chat feature on a site. That
Right.
goes right through your device.
Right. No,
So
I
that
think
actually
that's
leads
great.
me to mobile-friendly websites. There's been a big push in the last few years about responsive. Have you heard of that term, right? Responsive websites. Can you explain to the audience what that is and why it's important?
Sure.
It is important.
What responsive means in a nutshell is that your site is smart and responds to different screen sizes.
Okay.
It'll resize so it'll look good on your mobile device, on your tablet. and on various desktop screens. If you've ever gone to the site where you feel like you need to increase your eyeglass prescription because you can't read the font, that's a site that's not mobile friendly.
Right.
Okay.
And Google has free mobile tests. You can go and you can actually get it, and they'll tell you if your site's awesome, which means it's mobile friendly, or if it fails. There's no B or C grade.
Yeah, and you know, it's crazy because you can go to somebody's website and if they haven't updated it, what do you think of that company?
Well, we're on the same page. I was going to say that to Matt also. You know, when I look at a website and on my phone and it's not responsive and it looks like it's way too small for my phone, I go out and I find somebody else.
2008.
I mean, I would imagine another question we segue into is keeping current. How often do people have to keep current? Like, is there a 6 months or every year, or what is the process for that? And do they have to keep current?
Because it's expensive to redo your website. So, I mean, you know.
And do you have to redo the entire thing?
I've been having to do it about every 3 years. What do you think?
Yeah, and it also is going to depend on how your website's built. So a lot of these platforms have ongoing updates. First off, it keeps the content fresh without having to redesign your website. But also, one of the most common reasons for sites being hacked, it's not losing passwords. It's that there's some component that's been not updated over probably a long period of time. And there's a vulnerability, they exploit it, they get in, and suddenly now, rather than having paid for just a basic website maintenance service, you're out several $1,000s because you need a new website.
So let's go back to the website, though. I mean, how much is our times change? I mean, like, are times changing so fast that it's every year now you need to replace your website, or every couple of years, or every 3 years? Because styles change. So how often are people having to do their websites now? And it's frustrating because you constantly have to change, and then people don't like it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen major redesigns have certainly compressed. It used to be every 3 to 4 years. Nowadays, it seems to be more in like the 1 to 2 year window. That said, again, if you have some of these underlying platforms that are very flexible, you can keep a lot of the core of the site intact. And essentially, it's like keeping the car engine the same, stripping off the exterior and putting a new coat on. So that means, you know, there's still certainly cost and time involved with that, but it doesn't have to be like having to go out and buy a brand new car.
Right. If the foundation's good, then you're saying you can hold on to that, maybe add some additional tabs, right? If you want to add some more information and kind of, you know, address it that way.
Yeah, and tabs and pages and posts, a lot of these sites you can add on that anytime.
Okay, that's awesome.
What about blogs? How important are blogs anymore?
Well, we view blogs as Google food. Which is one of the things that Google likes to come and digest on your site, and they always like to come and they want to see something on the table. So if you actually have a situation where your website hasn't had any new content added to, say, 9-10 months, that's not Google food. And that doesn't encourage Google to come over for dinner, which means they don't index your site as much, which means it can be...
terminology.
Yeah. I like it.
Make sure that Google's a very happy guest.
Yes.
Because that's certainly one of the ways that you can rank better online.
Right.
Okay. It's so hard to do.
It is.
Yeah.
So
It is.
Do you recommend usually just hiring it out, or what?
You can do that, you know, and we're, I always confess, you know, we help a lot of other businesses with their blogs. So that means, you know, where the tailor's kids have no clothes. We need to blog more ourselves.
Well, tell people how to get a hold of you, just real quick.
Let our listeners know how to get a hold of you.
Sure. So you can go to superchargemarketing.com. We're also available 425-247-1870. So we also do tend to get back to people very quickly.
That's great.
Cool. So tell me, do you think, Matt, the next big thing in web design?
Yeah.
The next big thing. I mean, I would say we haven't fully seen how far we're going to go with mobile first.
Okay.
And that, to me, is still a sea change to where people will be doing a lot of web design, not looking at a desktop monitor anymore, but first and foremost on mobile devices. And that'll be where the design happens and where its home is. And the desktops will increasingly become an afterthought.
Yeah.
I could see that. Mobile devices, meaning obviously cell phone, iPads, Samsung tablets, all of that stuff.
Where
Laptops.
the majority of traffic is.
That's going to be the majority.
I think I read something that like 75% of millennials use the iPhone, or I mean not the iPhone, the mobile devices. They're not even using desktops anymore.
Yeah.
So I love desktops still.
Yeah, he does. He
because
is
it's just
a
easier to get everything done.
He likes the mouse and all that. I prefer a laptop. But I agree. I mean, I think that's great because we are mobile. We're in a very fast-moving society right now, and everybody wants it right now, tangible.
Yep. So you do some social media marketing in your company as well. Can you kind of touch on what do you do exactly? Like
Yeah, and
what platforms do you work off of?
Pretty much everything on that. Everything from Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, Instagram. I mean, really, it's going to depend on what the client, their industry, and their goals are. There is a commonality, though, between that and web design, which is, especially on social media, comes down to good writing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So how do you build your list on Facebook, because your follower base? Because I know that seems to be the hardest one out there.
Well, on Facebook nowadays, you have to very much pay to play.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be where you were actually...
Oh, gosh. You know what? We have to move into the next segment. So thank you, Matt, for being on the show today. If you want to finish that comment and hear about more from Matt, you can go to calling him at 425-247-1870 or visiting www.superchargemarketing.com. Reach out to him. Here at the Lifestyle Business Owner Academy, we're not rendering financial or legal advice. We're not telling you what you should or shouldn't do with your money or your business. We're simply telling you what we are doing personally. When we come back, we're going to be starting our LBO segment. This is where you guys will have an opportunity to get to know us, and we will discuss how to buy a business, grow its profits, and make it run without you. Make sure you follow us on the Lifestyle Business Owner on Facebook and Instagram. You can also listen to us at the Lifestyle Business Owner Show anytime, anywhere on lboradio.com. Thank you, Matt, for being on the show this morning.
The Lifestyle Business Owner Show continues after this, here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL.